I've always wondered, what is it about a street naked that makes it look so sexy? And where did that design came from? The exposed tubular frame, the aggressive design, and the overall commanding road presence that these bikes have. But then how do you make it better? By probably adding a BMW badge on it. You're watching Park Plus, subscribe to the channel, stay updated to all the content that we do by clicking on the bell icon. As for the task for the day is that what are the boxes that the BMW G310R checks for us, and what are the few things that it misses? Because even in this day and age, it misses out on a few things. But to start with, I think it's a beautiful motorcycle. The BMW G310R is a beautiful looking bike because the design language is more like crest and trough of a sound wave. Let me explain better. To start with the headlamp cluster, it's a small unit with an LED strip right at the center. It looks quite sexy, and it is followed by a big bulbous tank. It's an 11-liter tank, but it looks big because of the extended tank panel and the tank shrouds that are right here. It looks beautiful. Here, the seat, the rider seat, is placed lower than the tank because it seats you more in the bike than on it. And then we have the pillion seat again. As you see, the design is more like a crest and trough. It is a wave of sound which looks quite sexy.
The tubular frame has been finished in red.
When we look at the suspension setup, the upside down fork, which is 41 mm, has a travel of 140 mm, and the monoshock here has a 131 mm travel. When it comes to braking, the front braking is done by a 300 mm rotor, and the rear has a 240 mm rotor. It has dual channel ABS, and when it comes to the tires, the bike wears 17-inch tires which come shod with Michelin rubber. The instrument cluster on the BMW G310R is a basic LCD unit. We have a vertical fuel gauge and a horizontal rev counter with speed, the gear shift indicator, and other readabouts like the odo, the trip indicator, the range, and time. There are telltale lights as well. The instrument cluster does miss out on a few things. It does not have Bluetooth, it does not have navigation, and it's not a TFT display. At this price point, I think those are something that it misses out on.
Apart from the few misses that it has, I think the BMW G310R is a stunner. It grabs a lot of attention, be it on a standstill or on the move. This has to do with two things: the aggressive styling and of course the BMW badging.
Other mentions include the wide handlebar. We have adjustable levers for the clutch and the brake. The switch console also feels very premium. It has a tactile feel to it. Now, the seat height is 785 mm and I am 5 feet 9 inches. This is how I look when I sit on it.
Interested customers can choose to alter the seat height. The standard seat height is 785 mm, but you can choose between a lower 770 mm and a higher 800 mm. BMW has updated the 2023 G310R and has added new paint jobs for the bike. The bike is now available in new Style Sport and Style Passion color schemes. The bike is 2005 mm long, 849 mm wide, 1080 mm tall, and has a wheelbase of 1380 mm, and it weighs 164 kilos. It does not get a USB port as standard, which is a miss. It is available as an optional though. The bike that we got for testing came with leg guards, engine guard, and luggage rack, which are not standard. The foot pegs are quite neutral, and there's no reach for the handlebar. It seats you in a very neutral position, and the seating comfort of the BMW G310R is amazing. Not just for the rider, also for the pillion. I think I'm very impressed with the seat quality and the padding of this bike.
Now there's an engine cutoff feature for the side stand. It does not have a center stand, and that comprises what the BMW G310R has to offer in terms of look. And with that out of the way, let's get to the matter at hand, which is the performance. Now once past the 5000 RPM, that's when the bike becomes alive. It becomes a different machine altogether. Because below it, the bike is quite dormant. You won't really feel that, it has that much power and it can keep you engaging for the ride. But then once past that 5000 RPM mark, it just goes. It's rev happy. It wants you to go faster, and it will be hitting speeds. It wants you to go faster, and that is when you feel that this is a proper roadster which has all the X factor you need while you're riding on the highway. At the heart of the matter is a 313cc single-cylinder water-cooled engine that makes 34 bhp of power at 9,250 rpm and 28 Nm of peak torque.
The only qualm that I have with the bike is the gearbox. It's a clunky one. I had a rough time in shifting up and down and also struggled a little to find the neutral at traffic lights and at stops.
Now the acceleration of the bike, it is very linear, it doesn't catch you off guard, it inspires confidence, it makes you want to push the bikes to its limits. When it comes to the ride quality of the bike, let's start with the suspension. Now the suspension is on the softer side of things at low speeds, which is very good thing. That means the potholes, the bumps on the road, you don't have to avoid it, you can just relax the speed a little bit and it would do a good job of absorbing those bumps and undulations. But as the speed gets higher on triple digit speeds, that is when the suspension actually stiffens up and provides you with good feedback of what is going on the road under the wheels. The suspension duties are taken care of by a 41mm upside down forks up front, which is finished in gold, and again a monoshock at the rear. The travel on the front suspension is 140mm and the travel on the rear is 131mm. Braking is done by 300mm rotor up front and a 240 at the rear. It has good braking power. The brakes do a fine job of shedding speeds should you feel the need, and there's a lot of predictability, which is actually good. The bike is actually quite nimble to handle. It's only 164 kilos, and while you are on it, that weight just disappears. It vanishes in thin air. It's very easy to maneuver through traffic. It's very nimble to handle. You can chuck it around in the corner and you can navigate through traffic easily. When it comes to the high-speed stability of the bike, now the wheelbase is 1,380mm. Now that helps with the stability of the bike. You're doing triple digit speeds and the bike is holding its own quite nicely. It's very stable. It's actually wanting you to push more. It would, encourage more confidence in the rider to push the bike to its limits, and the same confidence is taken through the corners as well. So you want to lean more on the bike, and that is what sums up the overall ride quality of the BMW G310R.
The BMW G310R locks horns with the likes of the KTM 390 Duke, TVS Apache RR 310 and the Royal Enfield Interceptor 650 to name a few.
So what's the verdict? Now, for 2.85 lakh rupees ex-showroom, you get a proper Street Fighter naked that has ample amount of power to keep your ride engaging. Now, it does miss out on a few features: Bluetooth, navigation, TFT display, ride modes. But then again, as old school as I am, and it's a BMW that we're talking about, I would want this in my garage. That's all for now. I'll see you on the next one.